Welcome, Ultimate fans. We are live in Madison, where the fan base is booming and vibrant. Thank you for joining us here at Breese-Stevens Field, where the battle for the Midwest continues with the exciting rematch between the top teams of the Midwest. This game could reshape every early prediction, and it will begin in just a few moments.
Welcome to Breese-Stevens Field here in Madison, Wisconsin, the state capital, just a stone's throw away. And the Madison Radicals are set for their rematch against Chicago from last night's heated battle in the Windy City, where Chicago took a 1-point win. I'm Chuck Kindred alongside Megan Tormey, and we're happy to welcome you back for the second half of this doubleheader. And Megan, it was a pretty hotly contested battle at times last night in Chicago.
Yeah, the first quarter went definitely the way of the Wildfire. Very early, they took a lead 6-2, I think, within the first 8 to 10 minutes of that first quarter. And then from there, Madison fought back very, very hard. They also did a great job of slowing down a lot of the Wildfire's finer points. It was incredible to watch throughout that entire game.
Absolutely, and there was a lot of controversy around different calls. Guys were getting pretty hot under the collar. I saw Andrew Brown flopping. I saw Wildfire players getting into it. We're going to take a look at some of the stats available to you for the AUDL teams from altianalytics.com. So these charts are a little busy, Megan. Can you tell us how to look at these?
Sure. If you look at the graphic on the right, that is what's happened in all of the 8 games that Chicago has played. And try and look at the stripes that are the longest or the boldest. So, for example, we look in the middle column, we see Goose Helton has a lot of lines coming in, a lot of lines going out. That shows the number of assists that he has gotten and to whom he is throwing. So one big connection to highlight is, of course, the Goose Helton to A.J. Nelson. And if we take a look at the graphic on the left, this shows what happened offensively last night. And you'll notice that Goose Helton was not as big of a contributor, so the Radicals did a great job of slowing him down. One person to highlight in particular, Greg Slover, he was hugely impactful in that game last night. So he stepped up given the extreme conditions or the extreme defensive conditions under which the Wildfire were working. Similarly, if we take a look at the Radicals offense, they functioned pretty much as per normal. Andrew Brown is a huge asset to the Radicals. You see the number of times he sets up assists, so he gets the point for the hockey assist. But we'll continue to watch him do great things for the Radicals. The game is underway, and who else but Andrew Brown has the disc in his hands?
So force flick defense with a little bit of poach in the lane there from Chicago. Nice reversal of the field by Madison. And Riggles gets it to the middle of the field. It was Pat Schreiwise moving the disc. Always so active, Pat Schreiwise, one of the leaders of last year's team. Schleicher centering to Tom Annan, and Andrew Brown is going to take a shot at the end zone. And it will be good. First blood for the Madison Radicals to Dave Schleicher.
Yeah, Schleicher not particularly pleased with his play last night. He said he didn't score nearly as many goals as he normally does or ever would like to. So I'm not surprised to see him taking an early hit in the end zone. One thing that makes Dave Schleicher so good, in addition to him being fast, he's just a very intelligent player. He's good at positioning himself on the field. He's good at reading the players he's played with for a number of years. For example, Andrew Brown. He knows when is an appropriate time to cut. He's very good at reading the position of the handler and also what lanes are available to him downfield. Takes the most open, most efficient route.
Yeah, and talking to him after the game in Minnesota about a month ago, you could tell he was one of the guys who really understood what was going on, maybe why they won, where they were effective, where they weren't. Some players really have a gift for seeing the game that way. I think he's one of them, a very intelligent player. A.J. Nelson working in the lane against Mike Swain. Nice physical D from Mike. And A.J. will come back, Colin Gephardt thinks about a deep shot and looks for Goose Helton underneath. A little too high for him, and a quick turn. Madison will take over around midfield. Drews centers the disc. Drews had a tough night last night, came on late. And he looks to be exploiting a speed advantage against Ron Cablanza. Ron, I think, was a little ginger by the end of last night. Didn't get a chance to talk with him, but he definitely looked like he was slowing down in a hotly contested battle. Mike Swain with a nice catch. And a nice inside break from Drews. Those low backhands so effective for Madison. And a shot to the end zone. Pettit Scantling will pull that in, and Madison once again finds themselves in the end zone.
We talked about this last night, Chuck. Another very important point to highlight. Last year, this rivalry was so interesting because every time these two teams played against one another, they were not able to secure a win at their home field, which is where naturally you have the greatest advantage. So last night, very big deal for the Wildfire to upset the top-seeded Midwest team. Also a big deal for them to win against the Radicals at their home field.
Yeah, almost seemed like the opposite of a home field advantage last year, which doesn't make a lot of sense. The crowds tend to be pretty active. I know there's a lot of pride in both Ultimate communities, but for whatever reason, the villain won out last year. Chicago with the disc in the middle of the field. A double team for Meshnick and Weber. They were very effective, this two-man marking team last night. Let's see if they can be equally as effective tonight. Vandervoort looking to move the disc early. And a risky break through the cup will work. Dane Olson with the disc and time. And Megan, does the stall go on even if there's not a mark? Quick turn there by Stefan. And a shot goes up to Matt Weber. He's got height, but a great D from Dane Olson. Gets up early, gets position, and pulls it down. And Kevin Kelly with the disc. So does the stall start as soon as you catch the disc, Megan? I believe it does. So a little bit different than club where...
Correct. You do not have to wait for the defender to come and put the mark on you as soon as you catch the disc. Those refs start that stall count.
Be interesting to hear what coaches would have to say about potentially having a no-mark defense. You know, a zone where you have all your players designated off the disc. Doesn't really work in club. Might work a little better in the AUDL. In any event, double team is looking pretty good here for Madison. Nice scuba over the top by Chris Vandervoort. And they swing it all the way around to Kevin Kelly, who almost mishandles but pulls it back in. You can see it looks like Chicago's really using the full width of the field. I wonder if that's something they talked about last night, stretching these big guys, making them do the 40, 50-yard sprints. Instead of letting them settle in. These two guys so intelligent on the mark and so long. And Kramer with the disc, able to reset backwards. And the hammer down the line will work. Stefan Mance with the disc. And Chicago looks pretty comfortable right now against the zone. And a foul on the mark will center the disc for Chicago. Chris Vandervoort on the receiving end of some very physical fouls last night. And for those who didn't watch it, it did get pretty heated by the end of the game. Let's see if that continues tonight. Nice swing there from Stefan Mance. It's going to be all the way around for the goal, and nice patience from Chicago.
Huge point for the Wildfire in that regard. One thing that was particularly interesting was the Wildfire going up early against the Radicals gave them the advantage that ultimately won them the game. If you started watching the game in the second quarter on, it looked like the Radicals had the advantage the entire time. It was very labored for the Wildfire getting the disc down the field, and here we see who I think really made the biggest impact, Dane Olson, in the game last night. His very heated defense helped keep the disc alive for them. And then, of course, the way he plays offense, he's quick to get off throws that he knows are going to work. He helped move the disc down the field, which was so hard for the Wildfire last night.
And Nate Volkman set to receive, centers to Andrew Brown. And Andrew Brown able to get that inside-out flick break. That's got to be one of the throws you've seen him throw for years and years and years with tons of effectiveness. And Madison breaking the mark, spreading the field, and a shot to the end zone. Looks like his feet were in. So continuing to make up for lost time, Dave Schleicher gets in the end zone.
If you believe it, Chuck, Dave Schleicher fractured his talus last year, which took him out of the club season. So he feels like it happened after the AUDL season, but before the club season. Feels like he's still not quite up to speed. So he's using his intelligent field positioning to help make up for what he may be lacking in speed.
I'm sorry, you said he broke his...
Fractured his talus?
His talus. What is that, by the way?
It's a foot bone.
It's a foot bone, okay. And Andrew Meshnick, my MVP from last night, pulls. I think he's one of those unsung heroes on Madison. Certainly not the guy on the poster, but so tough to deal with and tends to always be in the right spot. A.J. Nelson with the disc and looks to throw deep to the end zone. Goose Helton is there. Pettit Scantling in pursuit. And looked like some contact. And a foul is called. Looked like Pettit Scantling may have hit Goose in the back, preventing him from going up. And Madison calling for the integrity rule. I think they want Goose to not accept the foul. Wishful thinking for Madison. But the disc doesn't lie, perhaps. And Madison looking pretty fired up. Great movement, and the deep shot goes up for Meshnick. AJ against Mike Swain. And Swain plays great position and pulls it in. Not in, however. He will have to tap it in. Correction by one of the other referees. He was, in fact, in the end zone. So great job by Mike Swain to take the height advantage away from A.J. Nelson. A.J. Nelson has been very quiet this weekend. He's kind of a superstar, one of the most athletic guys. I haven't seen him really get the disc in the air.
That is in part due to intelligent matchups on the part of the Madison Radicals. Having Mike Swain on A.J. Nelson, that's just about as good of a matchup in the Midwest as you're going to see. And that there, in just a few throws, a mistake on the Chicago end zone line cost them that point.
Andrew Meshnick gets the D on the point block and then hucks the goal to Mike Swain. I'm not trying to say I told you so. But that guy can play. And nice hang time on this pull. One of the stats that they track on ultianalytics.com is hang time on the pull. And I believe maybe the league leaders are up over 6 seconds in the air before the disc comes down on these pulls. I didn't think that kind of hang time was possible. And an absolute bullet mishandled by KK. And Everhart swings to Meshnick, who's going to unload a deep shot. Oh, my goodness. Chris Vandervoort goes up huge for the D on Adrian Reef. No doubt on that one.
Let's take a look at that again. I had no idea he could jump so high.
Very athletic play from Chris Vandervoort. Played his college Frisbee at Michigan. His former college teammates at Nationals in Cincinnati this weekend. And I believe they had a nice win yesterday against Central Florida and dropped a game to Dartmouth. 10-yard penalty. And some clear flopping from Dane Olson. I think even he had to laugh at that. One of the things we saw last night was Andrew Sheehan able to draw a lot of fouls with the disc, able to just kind of pivot out, draw contact, get the call. I think Dane Olson was just testing the waters to see if that was the way they were going to call it tonight in Madison. Foul on the mark, another 10 yards. So physical marks right now from Madison. And Williams with the disc. We'll look at Dane Olson. Active feet on the mark from Matt Weber. And the big lefty will throw the blade around. Looks like that's going to work to Kevin Kelly. Chris Vandervoort with a nice point. And KK fired up.
I'd like to see that throw again. It looked like he released that from his hip. He didn't. There wasn't a lot of follow through. He didn't use a lot of arm motion. Just kind of low, tight, lots of spin to get that disc over every Radical player and Wildfire player to Kevin Kelly all alone. Here we see him setting it up.
They call that the T-Rex blade to the end zone.
I was wondering if that's what that was.
Pretty sure it's called a T-Rex. Nice throw. So Chicago trailing early. Goose Helton, former MVP of the league, pulls. And Andrew Brown gets some yards on the centering pass. Being marked by Case Degnan. And Tom Annan gets it underneath on Mike Egan. Annan's so dangerous with the disc. Really has that full field huck range. And speaking of full field range, Dave Wiseman with the disc. He started to come on late in last night's game. Last season, he really seemed like a difference maker for Madison. Let's see how he does tonight. And Nate Volkman able to get down and dirty, keep that disc alive. And a foul on the throw. So 10-yard penalty. This will come back in, stay with Dave Wiseman. And a great anticipation D from Gary Ladone. Gary, one of those guys getting D after D last year. Gets right back at it tonight. And foul on the throw. Oh, pardon me, timeout by Chicago. So Chicago gets the turn, looking to pull within one here, calls the quick timeout with 2 minutes, 40 seconds left here in the first quarter. Megan, any initial thoughts on how this game has gone?
Well, the interesting thing, again, just Radicals going up early with a lead against Chicago, coming out with that defense that Chicago continues to struggle against. We have, however, seen Chicago be much chillier with a disc. In the second half of last night's game, as well as in the beginning of this one, they aren't making foolish mistakes just by trying to get the disc moving quickly. They are still looking for space downfield. They're starting just a little bit to learn to create space, but it's still taking just so long for them to get the disc moving. And that's all it really is in the zone. You understand if you're putting on the zone, if you get them to throw a larger number of throws, there's a greater chance that they're going to make an error, and they are capitalizing. The Radicals are capitalizing on that.
It's a great point, and when you're playing a zone on defense, somebody is always open. It's a question of, can the offense get the disc to that guy? You can see Chicago set up in a four-man horizontal stack, two handlers back. Ron Cablanza, Walden Nelson, and Bob Lou will tap it in. Goose Helton working in the lane, gets a step underneath, and Pettit Scantling will mark him on the sideline. And Chicago working against a tough D, and nice play by Goose Helton. Keep that disc alive. He's going to throw the hammer over the top to Ron Cablanza. And Ron able to corral that disc in. Nice play by the crafty vet. When they introduced Ron Cablanza tonight, they mentioned he was a hero, a legend of the University of Wisconsin Hodag Ultimate Program. Even though he's playing for Chicago tonight, he is from the University of Wisconsin, played his college Frisbee here in Madison, and he is loved and admired by many people here in the stands tonight. Nice adjustment there by Ron Kablanza. Coming in flat, spinning, you're able to tap the disc and make the catch. Hashtag AUDL tonight. Any questions, any comments? Of course, if we make any mistakes, definitely don't hesitate to let us know. I know you won't. So that pull goes out of bounds. Megan, did you get a feel for how the wind was blowing down there on the field tonight?
It is gusting at about 3 miles per hour, which is negligible in the ultimate sense. Which is why it's interesting that the zone continues to work here in Madison. Normally you want just a little bit of wind so it helps lift up the disc, giving your monster some time to get that disc.
And a little too low there from Nate Volkman. That'll be a turnover, and Chicago with a chance to tie the game, and a drop by Chris Vandervoort. And a foul, clear push in the back. Crowd doesn't like it. That's Neil Phelps, one of the new players on Chicago this year. An outstanding player, finished up, I believe, his college career at Illinois this year. Nate Volkman to the middle of the field, played well by Tom Annan with a little barbecue backhand to Scott Riggles. And a big layout D from Vandervoort. Stayed in the mix, stayed in position, and got a hand on the disc. Nice play from Chris. And Chris able to adjust and make the catch. And the end zone throw goes up to Neil Phelps. He gets a late jump on it. Schleicher comes over the top. Schleicher saying he got the disc first. He may have a point, but he certainly cleaned out the receiver. I think that's probably the right call. And an immediate double team. Dane Olson looking for the break, throws the around, and that is Deed. Great goal line stand from Madison, nothing to look at. Tom Annan has Riggles going deep. KK is in the mix, and KK will clear it out. Riggles calling for the foul. Riggles furious right now. And the Madison players yelling. 10 seconds left here, and the shot to the end zone goes up. The whistle blows, and that was nearly caught by Stefan Mance. But it looks like, not sure if there was a call there. Megan, did you see?
It doesn't look like there was a call made.
Looks like no call.
We can take a look at it again.
So we'll take a look. A lot of players coming together in the back of the end zone here. Looked like Stefan Mance, number 9, almost went up and ripped this down for the goal. But look at that, Tom Annan gets in and clears it away. So that'll be the end of the first quarter here in Madison. And just like last night, these two teams do not like each other, are not looking to give up an inch on offense or defense. And Madison clings to a 1-point lead after one here at Breese Stevens Field.
Yeah, it's a Zipcar. I don't own it, I just use it when I need it. Zipcar has thousands of cars parked all over the city, even 2 on my block. You can use one for an hour or for a day. And Zipcar pays for gas and insurance. It's easy.
Go to Zipcar.com to get your Zipcard, the key to vehicles parked in your neighborhood and across the globe. For work or play, find a Zipcar near you, book it,
And before you know it, you're on the road.
cars by the hour or day, gas and insurance included.
Join for as little as $6 per month at Zipcar.com.
So 4-3 after one here in Madison. You can see the crowd piling in at Breese Stevens Historic Hockey, soccer stadium here in Madison, and we're going to take a look at some of the highlights from the first quarter. See Schleicher getting on the board early, playing the position, going up, and making the play. Looked like a risky throw off Andrew Brown's hand.
Not when your receiver is David Schleicher.
I guess you're right. And here you can see Dane Olson going up over the much larger receiver, Matt Weber. Matt didn't get much of a jump. Here's my favorite player on the field, Meshnick, getting a point block, throwing the huck. And maybe the play of the first quarter, Chris Vandervoort going up huge for the D in the end zone. And here we see Nate Volkman getting on the turf to keep that disc alive. Catch D there from Gary Ladone, so heads up as a defensive player. Goose Helton doing what he does, catching everything, and anytime the disc is in the air, going for it. Hammer over the top here. And look at this adjustment by Ron Kablonza. If he doesn't touch that, certainly he's going to be a D. And we bring you back to live coverage. See the AUDL van in the background there. Remember, when you're watching these games, the pylon marks the end zone. I believe there is lines drawn across the front of the end zone, but if you're ever unsure, look for the pylon to see if your player's in or out of the end zone. So Madison set to pull. Up one. They look like they're pretty dialed in. I'm looking at the sideline. I can see Tim DeBile ready to work. And great hang time again on this pull. Walden Nelson will center to Bob Lou. Adrian Reef on the mark. So a little give and goes from AJ, Walden, and Goose. And Greg Slover, one of the great players from last night with 3 assists. Number 20 in the white jersey here has the disc. And Greg Slover, one of those guys who can throw almost anything in the book. So AJ Nelson, with time winding down here, throws an outside in backhand. Line is towed, and it looks like Walden caught it. Interesting, the nearest ref is standing still, but down around midfield, looks like the call was that he was in bounds. Looked like he definitely had his toes down. Let's see if we can get a look at this. So AJ Nelson, I think the stall was right around 7, had to throw it. You can see Walden does a great job keeping his toes down and extending out. Question is, were his toes in bounds? The referees will consort.
Chuck, I didn't see, did the ref closest to Walden make any call at all, either in or out?
I didn't see any call. In any event, the call is that he was out of bounds, and Madison will have the disc on their end zone, looking to score and go up 2. And timeout is called by Madison. With the disc up 1, we will take a quick break.
I missed my graduation to practice. I sleep so we could drill. I missed anniversary, Father's Day, Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, Saturday. I missed my final exam. I missed some plane flights. I even missed my parents' anniversary. I missed a lot.
Welcome back to Breeze Stevens Stadium here in Madison, Wisconsin. We're watching the top 2 teams in the Midwest Division face off for the second night in a row. Madison up 1 with the disc, calls a timeout to regroup. And Chicago looking to force a turn and get the score even back up. Certainly you don't want to fall behind in Madison to the Radicals. See some fans with their shirts off, spelling out Radicals. That's the kind of passion you're going to see in Madison, Wisconsin, ladies and gentlemen. So the disc is in. Andrew Brown looking to break the mark. Settles for the open side shot to Dave Wiseman. And a quick continue pass from Nate Volkman. Nate great at keeping the disc moving, throwing and going. And big Scott Riggles being guarded by Goose Helton. Interesting matchup downfield. Let's see if Riggles can do any work against one of the defensive stalwarts of the Chicago Wildfire team. Nice break there from Andrew Brown. And Schreiwise right up the middle. Schleicher on the sideline, and Madison getting everything they want right now on offense. Nice inside break, mishandled by Dave Wiseman. I guess the throw was a little behind him. In any event, Chicago with the disc back and an opportunity to tie.
That's the most stagnant I've seen the Madison Radicals offense. The Wildfire were doing a very good job of guarding the handlers tight and cutting down opportunities downfield.
And Dane Olson will rip a forehand deep to Goose. Goose with great speed, unable to collect himself for the bid there. Not sure how close he was, but he definitely separated easily from Scott Riggles. Scott, from what I understand, is the fastest 70-yard sprinter on Madison.
So we've been told.
So we've been told.
So we've been told. But Mike Swain wants to point out that they'd never actually tested that. I will say one thing about Dane Olson's throws. They come out of the gate like a greyhound. So if you're not already running or if you're not ready for it, you've got no chance of catching it.
It's true. And Schreiwise handles a nifty little scuba over the top. And nice adjustment on the mark by Williams to take away that around backhand near D there. Williams very heads up so far on D. And the around backhand from Nate Volkman. Thibodeau is going to wind and deliver deep. Dave Wiseman with a couple of steps will easily edge out Stefan Mance for the goal. Wiseman on the board and in the end zone.
That was a pretty throw. You saw Mance making any last-ditch efforts he could to get that D. He tried to get the position. He tried to catch up, but that just had the perfect shape to it. Throws like that are very hard to defend if you don't already have position on your person.
It's a great point. Gives Dave Wiseman his advantage of size. Just puts it out in front of him, has it drop right in. Not a lot you can do other than foul when you're starting a step behind. Stefan Mance, one of the defenders who can make very seemingly impossible plays in the air, though. Real springy, very aggressive going to the disc. So Walden Nelson will center a slightly short pull. And Goose Helton working downfield against Pettit Scantling. Pettit Scantling's defense looks pretty good so far today. And Ron Cablanza with the disc. Kevin Kelly being guarded by Mike Swain. Finds Colin Gephardt up line, little out ahead of him, and a dangerous looking play. Gephardt goes full horizontal and almost gets taken out by Whitehead. Looks like they're both okay. Colin Gephardt, an elite cross-country skier. Not sure why I mentioned that. Nice play there by Pettit Scantling. And Meshnick underneath. And people calling for Drews to get busy downfield. You can see he gets the disc. I think they want him to run Ron Cablanza around as much as possible. Whitehead's going to take a shot to the end zone. Nice open receiver. It's going to be a little bit deep, however, and he is out the back of the end zone. Not quite enough Heiser on that flick. And if you're 40 to 50 years old or older, then you'll know what Heiser is. Heiser, by the way, is the inside-out shape of the disc. Ron Cablanza, I'm sure, knows what Heiser is. Shot down the line to Slover. Slover, a beachfront property product. Gets it around to Ron, who will swing to Colin Geppert. Beachfront property, a second-tier Chicago men's team. Along with Haymaker, they make up kind of a feeder system. Shot to the deep, dark corner of the end zone. Slover misreads that, and it will hit the ground. Good-looking throw from Goose, but not played particularly well by Slover. Nice pressure by Madison.
Yeah, you'll notice Rowan went in, jumped high and early, causing Slover to jump before he knew he should. You see, instantly he realizes the mistake that he made.
So Madison up 2, quick timeout. We'll be right back at Breeze Stevens.
I missed my graduation, practice, I sleep so we could drill. I missed anniversary, Father's Day, Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, Saturday. I missed the final exam. I missed the plane flight. I even missed my parents' anniversary. I missed a lot.
Welcome back to Madison, Wisconsin. Slightly overcast here tonight. Starting to feel a little more like summer, though, Megan.
Yeah, 76 degrees compared to the last night, 56 degrees, but it ended up being in Chicago. A little bit warmer. I'm sure the individuals with their shirts off in the fans are very glad to have the weather they have tonight. These guys, die-hard fans. If you go to the Madison Radical website, you'll see their picture on the front page. So this is not unique. This is not new.
They've been here all day.
They have been here all day.
So Madison will tap the disc in. Just over 6 minutes left in the first half. And Pat Schreiwise with the disc. Nice wide stance, finds Scott Riggles downfield. Tough resets right now for Madison. A nifty little inside backhand, however, from Scott Riggles will work. Look at this matchup for Scott. He's a full head taller than his defender. And look like perhaps Dane Olson and Nate Volkman get mixed up downfield. Whistle blows. Not sure what the call is. Looks like a foul against Nate Volkman. Nate Volkman known to be a little bit physical. He's a club soccer player. And certainly that club soccer mentality is a little different. Big backhand out to space from Riggles, however, and Schreiwise is there. Nice position play there from number 24 in Chicago. That's Neil Phelps. And very interesting, a foul is called. Megan, your thoughts?
There have been a number of interesting calls, both in this game and in the game that we saw last night. Of course, we have to understand that everyone's new to this system. The referees are new. I have to think they're doing their best job calling things as quickly as they see them, trying to remain objective as they go.
And Schreiwise gets into the end zone for the goal.
Maybe we could take a look at that again. Ultimately, I don't think that I agree with that particular call, but I admit I don't have best perspective here, if I can be very diplomatic about it.
You can see Schreiwise does what Coolidge did a little bit last night, throw to the open side, an immediate strike cut up line. You can see how he takes that open side advantage and just parlays that nicely into a goal.
Yeah, Shree was a very interesting player. He recognizes that there are individuals on the Radicals who have better disc skills than him, so he's always looking to get the disc into very capable hands. That worked out incredibly well for him that play. He wasn't looking to get the assist on his own. He just wanted to get the score for Madison, so he tossed it back and immediately made the cut because he understands that that's his role on the team, and he does it incredibly well.
Certainly so. And quick whistle. Looks like a 10-yard penalty. I'm not sure where the foul was. Did you see a foul, Megan? Must have been downfield. So kind of a cluster of Wildfire players, and A.J. Nelson will throw over the top. And Geppert will continue down line to Slover, who puts a scuba to the back. Little too high for Kevin Kelly, however, and that will be a turnover. And shot goes up deep. Several players in the mix. Geppert looks like he gets up early and gets first touch. Nice play by Colin Geppert. So Chicago trying to claw their way back here, trail by 3. Haven't looked particularly crisp yet. Wide open KK deep. And A.J. Nelson steps right through that double team. Meshnick and Weber doing everything they can to just bother these throwers for Chicago. So active on the mark. Looks like a foul was called. Meshnick doesn't like it. And A.J. Nelson does the one thing you're not supposed to do, which is respond to hecklers. If you're new to the sport, don't ever acknowledge hecklers. Bro tips. Hammer over the top to Ron Cablanza. And Slover with the disc and with time. Throws that scuba one more time over the top. Foul before the throw. And the Madison crowd starting to get a little more lively. You can see the 2 marks are behind the disc. They're just 100% preventing the reset. And Walden Nelson comes up, jumps into the end zone. And it looks like some sort of confusion as to whether he was in or out. Once again, our bearded referee stoically stands by. And some discussion ensues here. Walden Nelson and Meshnick trying to figure out whether he landed in. Let's see if we can get a look. He may have jumped after he caught it there. I imagine that's what Weber's saying. He's pointing down. He's saying his feet were down before, or he caught the disc before he jumped. However, looks like the goal will stand. So Chicago gets on the board here, pulls within 2.
You know, interesting point, Chuck. When we saw AJ at about midfield, closest to the camera, if you counted, there were 5 Radical players within 10, 15 feet. Well, it's within 15 feet of him. 5 players circled around one individual. That is a lot of players in a very concentrated space on the field. I have to think that the Wildfire can do a little bit more to capitalize on the fact that when they let the defense set for just a second, they have the numbers advantage at everywhere else on the field. If they can throw a hammer, if they can throw a wide around, the wind is not that great tonight. So with it being so low, they have a greater number of throws available to them.
So what throws do you think they're not making they should be making?
Well, the hammer.
Agreed. Shot to the middle. And Andrew Brown gets it to Tom Annan. Lots of quick movement here from Madison. They're looking to swing the disc, it looks like. Riggles with the disc. And Riggles throws and goes into the end zone. And just like that, Madison replies, goes back up 3. Madison looks very comfortable right now.
Riggles at 6'7", I think people look at him most often and think about what he's capable of doing on defense, which is completely fair, but he works so hard on offense too. He's excellent at helping get the disc to the big playmakers. He was in he was in the end zone with that play in particular, but he's one of the main throwers, the main individuals who throw to David Schleicher, helping him get the now 24, I believe, goals that he has under his belt this season.
Megan, off the top of your head, do you know who the league leader in goals is this year?
Last I checked, it was tied between Cameron Brock and Tyler DiGirolamo at 33 goals.
Wow, that's a lot of goals. Tyler DiGirolamo had an incredible catch near the back of the end zone last week. Crowd went nuts, and Whitehead gets hit there on a deep shot. And it sounds like we will have footage of that DiGirolamo catch in our highlight package. Colin Gebhardt with the disc. Double team comes. And you can see the double team tends to be playing behind the disc, forcing them to look downfield. No free resets available. Ron Cablanza with the disc in the middle of the field will air it out to Walden Nelson, who makes a nice adjustment and will run that one down. Nice throw to space from Ron Cablanza.
Good read from Walden. A few of the longer throws from Chicago have been a bit lofty, giving the Radicals just enough time to cinch in defensively. I have to say at this point, although the Radicals defense still looks fantastic, silly mistakes from the Wildfire are what is costing them the deficit.
See Ron Cablanza collects himself, gets nice and low, gets some touch on that throw. Ron always nice and low, always using his legs on his throws. I think that's a very important key to why he's able to throw so accurately, so quickly, maybe with so much power as well. I've never understood how his forehand goes where it goes. And Megan, you were coached by Ron Cablanza on Nemesis. What does he tend to focus on as a coach? Where do you think his excellence is as a coach?
Helping the team understand set plays, when to apply them, and how to always come back to them. In the heat of the moment, you never feel lost. You know, as an individual, what you should be doing, and as a team.
And Wiseman tries to toe the line, takes his eye off the disc and drops it. And time winding down here in the first half. Timeout is called. So Chicago will tap it in with the full field looking right in front of them and one shot to pull within one before we head into halftime. You can see here, Riggles sees Wiseman, airs it out deep. It's a little bit too far, and Wiseman, trying to keep his feet in, accidentally drops the disc. So we will be back with the conclusion of the first half here in Madison.
Yeah, it's a zip car. I don't own it, I just use it when I need it. Zipcar has thousands of cars parked all over the city, even 2 on my block. You can use one for an hour or for a day. And Zipcar pays for gas and insurance. It's easy.
Go to zipcar.com to get your zip card, the key to vehicles parked in your neighborhood and across the globe. For work or play, find a zip car near you, book it,
And before you know it, you're on the road.
cars by the hour or day, gas and insurance included.
Join for as little as $6 per month at zipcar.com.
Welcome back to Madison. So Bob Lou getting ready to tap the disc in. He's looking at 11 seconds on the clock and a full field in front of him. Let's see what Chicago can do. Remember, the clock doesn't start until the first reception occurs. So he will have 7 seconds to make a throw, and until the throw is caught, the clock will stay at 11 seconds. Not a lot of wind tonight, so you would think Dane Olson, Ron Cablanza, any of these guys, if they get the disc without a mark, will be able to rip it all the way to the end zone. Generally, teams are looking to play kind of a contain, have guys deep, and have a flat mark here. Let's see if Colin can get the shot off. He centers to Dane. Dane rips a backhand that turns over, and Weber catches it, delivers a bomb. Not sure that one was off, and Dane Olson throws his hat up to stop it. And I believe there was a foul called? Not sure. Maybe just a good ribbing from the zebra. You can see Dane Olson in a little bit of a hurry. Sometimes when you're hurrying, that disc turns over on you. And couldn't get a look at the clock to see if this throw got off. The referee is waving it off, and you can see a heck of a play there by Dane Olson to get his hat right on the disc. Dane Olson, a man of many skills. But I don't think that's an ultimate play. So Madison maintains their 2-point lead going into half. Looked pretty comfortable on offense. I think their double team with Meshnick and Weber is every bit as effective as it was last night. And Megan getting set to interview, I believe it's Dave Schleicher. Schleicher bounced back after a lackluster start to the weekend last night. And we will send it down to Meagles. We're having a little bit of trouble with the audio right now. We will try to get that corrected. You can see a powwow there of the Chicago Wildfire leadership. Kevin Kelly, Ron Cablanza, Goose Helton, and Walden Nelson. 4 of the leaders of the ultimate community. We're going to send it back down to Megan, see if we have the audio problem. Or I'm sorry, we're going to take a break right now. We'll be back at Bree Stevens.
I missed my graduation, practice, asleep so we could drill. I missed anniversary, Father's Day, Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, Saturday. I missed my final exam. I missed some plane flights. I even missed my parents' anniversary. I missed a lot.
Thanks for sticking with us, David. So talk a little bit about what's going differently for you last night and tonight.
One thing, the road trip does make things a little bit more difficult. I think we came out a little flat yesterday, and today getting to sleep in our own beds just helped, and got to the fields early, warmed up, and started with some intensity.
And you guys looked great coming out the first point. Besides being able to sleep in your own bed and having the home field advantage, did you talk about anything to help you guys move a little better offensively?
Yeah, we kind of talked about our set plays coming off the pull. Wanted to call things out a little bit more than just go with the flow. And this is a must-win game, so we just came out with a sense of urgency.
Okay, and what do you guys think you're going to work on during halftime to help maintain the lead you have?
I think we can run these guys pretty hard, and instead of taking so many 50-50 shots, maybe work the unders and try to get the rounds and some breaks and move it up that way.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much, and good luck the next half.
Thank you.
We are now going to take a look at the top 10 plays from the league last week.
Yeah, it's a zip car. I don't own it, I just use it when I need it. Zipcar has thousands of cars parked all over the city, even 2 on my block. You can use one for an hour or for a day. And Zipcar pays for gas and insurance. It's easy.
Go to zipcar.com to get your zip card, the key to vehicles parked in your neighborhood and across the globe. For work or play, find a zip car near you, book it,
And before you know it, you're on the road.
cars by the hour or day, gas and insurance included.
Join for as little as $6 per month at zipcar.com.
Monster throw deep here, the line uncovered. Nice bid. Lions with a chance to regain the lead here. Oh, monster bid by both players. Nice play.
Well, you got to get out wide and low. And as you can see, if you even let the front lip come up, it's going to just pop up, and that's a goal.
Callahan for San Jose. Nathan White rises above the pack. It's nice to be 6'5".
That's a nice throw from the colleague. Real nice throw.
El Bogan, the big layout. Just hung up there for a while on a breezy day by the bay. Puts it on the show. What a grab by Joe Jerry. Shot downfield. What a D by Travis Carpenter.
Welcome back to Breeze Stevens Stadiums here in Madison, Wisconsin. And it's a hot, muggy summer night here and some hot, muggy ultimate here. Madison up pretty comfortably in the first half. They look like the offense is coming to them easily. The defensive pressure, they're doing that double team that worked so well last year. I still don't think Chicago has the answer to that double team.
You're right, and we've seen how the defense gets tighter and tighter around the Chicago Wildfire, more limiting the options of throws that they have. They're having to make somewhat desperate over-the-top throws to break through that cup, just because when it stagnates, there are more Radicals who make their way around the person with the disc.
And we're going to take a look at a couple of highlights from the first half and see what a couple of the difference-making plays were. So Andrew Brown early on taking the deep shot. To who else? Dave Schleicher. And pretty aggressive Ds in the air throughout the game. We can see another one here from Chris Vandervoort coming off the backside. Seems like Chicago's struggles have been mainly on the offensive side of the disc, not able to consistently punch it in. And Nate Volkman and the Madison Radicals generally able to just take whatever the defense is giving them and score at a reasonable percentage. Nice bid there from Goose Helton to keep that one up. And the hammer over the top. Look at this adjustment from Ron Cablanza.
That is seasoned, that kind of adjustment.
Ron just a few moons from his 40th birthday. Here we see that nice touch backhand from Nate Thibodeau, another guy up there in years. Just drops it right in for Dave Wiseman. And this is a heck of a bid by Colin Gephardt. Dangerous. Almost put his head right on the hip of Whitehead. This generally isn't a sport where we have to worry about concussions, but you definitely don't want to put your head on someone's hip. A nice team D there from Chicago. Here's Ron Kablonza with a touch pass out to space. Nice and soft. See how he keeps the front lip up. So even though that turns over a little bit, it's so soft, allows Walden Nelson to run onto it. And here's the end of the first half. The backhand gets away from Dane Olson a little bit. And watch this hat D from Dane Olson. You can't teach that.
I don't know that I've ever seen that before.
And we'll take a look at the league standings. So, Megan, tell us about the Eastern Division.
The Eastern Division continues to be dominated by the Toronto Rush. There is just no team that has showed themselves capable of stopping the offensive power and the defensive might that they have. They had very little turnover between last season and this season, and the people that they added were just even more experienced, even more beneficial to their team. So they continue to be trumped. The only team that I think stands a chance right now is the New York Empire. I'm really excited about this team. At the end of last year, they definitely peaked when it was time. We watched them play a very exciting game in the playoff weekend. Now, they've had a few notable additions to their team this year, and I've said this before, I think the New York Empire does well when they have a few strong player leaders, and that's proving to be the case this year. So we'll see if they can pull it together at the time that it's appropriate and give the Toronto Rush a loss. If that doesn't happen, I think the only place that can happen is in the West Coast Division, Chuck, which is your division.
It certainly is, and you know, Western Division dominated so far, at least, by the San Jose Spiders and the San Francisco Flamethrowers. The only teams they've lost to are each other. And you can see the point diff is very similar, plus 51 for the Spiders, plus 50 for San Francisco. I think it's a toss-up. At the beginning of the year, I thought San Francisco would win that division. And A.J. Nelson giving me a very Ken doll-like gaze right now. He's a very handsome young man. Very distracting for me right now. But I think the Western Division is going to be a toss-up all the way to the very end. Interesting to see how that plays out. Next week, we'll get a look at Vancouver, and San Jose will host them. The Spiders look to maintain their dominance against the rest of the division, rather. Tom Annan with a disc, winds and delivers a deep shot. Shrywise with space. Goose Helton coming off the backside. And Shrywise makes it look easy, keeps the defender on his back, and goes up for the Glenn Robinson-like score. You can see Andrew Brown getting the disc to Tom Annan. Watch how quickly he recognizes the matchup and delivers the disc deep. Shrywise with a nice play. Pressure off the front, pressure off the back. Keeps his eyes on the disc. And you can see the D-line for Madison ready to try to break and go up 4 here. Meshnik will pull. Pettit, Scantling, Whitehead, and the rest of the gang will come down here. Let's see if they're running a straight man or if they're going to run that double team. Looks like a man. Swain will be marking A.J. Nelson. And nice defense again from Pettit, Scantling. He's guarding Kevin Kelly, and guys are really having a hard time getting separation downfield against numbered 80, Pettit, Scantling. Scuba over the top. A.J. Nelson will deliver to Colin Gephardt. Slover with a nice stutter step, gets it underneath. And Kevin Kelly working again, hard to get separation against Pettit, Scantling. And Walden Nelson against the double team. Draws the foul against Whitehead. Whitehead doesn't like it. And Walden Nelson in the red zone with the disc, looking to score. Slover gets open by a step, but the disc is swinging to the other sideline. And a nice little up the middle break, which sets up the continuation of Greg Slover. Nice flow from Chicago.
Chuck, because it's been so prevalent throughout this weekend, I think it's important to mention that in the AUDL rule books, it states a marker is permitted to establish a legal guarding position in the path of a thrower's desired pivot, provided he does not straddle the thrower's pivot. And you can certainly find that out for yourself on the AUDL.com. The full rules book is available. I think it's probably hard to tell from our vantage point. I think sometimes the Wildfire do feel that the disc space is being encroached. All the same, it's looking a little flagrant on either side with some of these double teams.
Difficult too, because if you're in motion, then that rule doesn't necessarily apply. You're not allowed to adjust your position, but if you have position and the thrower pivots into you, that is not a foul on the mark. I think that was the big bone of contention that Madison had last night. Full blade to the far side of the field. Riggles was not guarded, and he's going to air out a little inside-out flick. And what a play by Schleicher to go up and rip it down. Schleicher having a great game tonight.
Let's see how close Goose came to that. He was coming roaring from behind to try and stop that disc.
There you see Dave Schleicher having a good time. This flick certainly got away from Riggles a little bit. I don't think he intended to put that much air on it, but look at the adjustment there. Goose Helton coming hard, not able to make the play though. And where does Goose Helton come from? He's all the way from the far side of the field. And when you see how muscular, how thick Goose Helton is, and then you see him sprint, it's very impressive. Usually you see the fast guys or the skinny, wiry guys. He looks a little more like a middle linebacker. Scuba over the top from Kablanza. And Walden Nelson, one of those guys who's very ambidextrous with the disc, switches hands constantly, always faking these little backhands. Technically, he's left-handed. And a nice tight down the line forehand there. Walden Nelson under some time pressure. Not sure what the call was. May have been a foul on the mark. Walden will walk it up 10 yards and bring it back in. Meshnick and Weber talking about their defensive adjustment here. And Walden right back into the fire. Nice break from Walden. Set up by the upline cut from A.J. Nelson. Slover in the middle of the field finds A.J. And lots of action right in the middle of the field. Another foul. Didn't see that one. Must have been downfield. You can see these, wow, big hammer over the top. And Deed easily. Looked like Ron maybe came over the top of that a little bit too much. That came down kind of hard and tight. Sometimes that happens when the disc sticks to your hand a little bit longer than you like. Meshnick with the disc, thinks about the backhand. And settles for the around. Middle of the field for Madison. Up 3 in front of their home crowd, looking to win against Chicago at home for the first time. And so far so good. Deep shot goes up. And that is going to work. Peter Graffey, the new addition and one of the up-and-coming stars of the AUDL, will catch that for an easy goal.
And that makes bookends for Peter Graffey. Great throw from Seth Meyer on that one. Seth, another individual who had a great game yesterday, making some huge come-from-behind Ds. Shows us he is talented throwing the disc as well.
You see that D on the over-the-top there from Peter Graffey. Very athletic. Absolutely no time to adjust. And watch how far open he is against Slover. Slover looks a little ginger coming down the field. And Graffey fired up.
He fought incredibly hard that point. Watching him, he was working pretty hard trying to get open on Greg Slover there. Graffey has really dramatic fakes. It's hard to It's hard to adjust as a defender, I'm sure, because he looks so convincing when he fakes in or deep.
Yeah, a little bit like Yokaoka on San Francisco. Everything he'd done seems to have action around it. And Goose Helton against Mike Swain. Wow, what a catch by Goose Helton. Looked like he misplayed it, but caught it off the deflection and throws it into the end zone to Mike Egan. That
was huge. Great readjustment from Goose, and then being able to come up quickly and get that throw off to Derlika Wagner while Derlika Wagner had that moment of availability before Mike Swain could get on him and D him.
Yeah, it looked like Goose got away with one here. You can see he's sprinting, stops, kind of forces Mike Swain to make an adjustment and gives himself just enough time to adjust, make the catch. I think Swain wishes he could have caught that D.
Well, I think Swain also wishes he hadn't shooken his fist in despair right after that, because he could have seen that Derlika Wagner was waiting in the end zone.
That's a great point. No time for drama. Got to get back on D, right? So a big inside-out backhand pull from Goose. Every time he pulls, it seems to get a little bit bigger. Nate Volkman against the big mark of Chris Vandervoort. Looks like Chicago's trying to take a page out of Madison's book and almost works. Wow, that looked like a D. I'm not sure how that got through. But it's Schleichert's night, and Wiseman thinks about the huck. And the swing to Nate Thibodeau. So Madison with the disc. So far, so good. Lots of breaks, lots of swings. And generally a reset seems to be available for Madison so far. Nice around backhand from Andrew Brown. And Schreiwise tries to throw and go. There is contact, but somehow Schreiwise makes the catch. Looks like he's shaken up a little bit on the play. And a diving catch up line, trailing edge with the right hand. Let's watch how this sets up. He throws, goes up line. The poach is coming from the stack here. Watch this bid. Reaches out, somehow underhand catches it. And it looked like he just got his face driven down into the turf. What an athletic play here.
And he holds on to the disc through the contact.
Incredible athleticism. Stefan Vance looked like he was in position to make the play. Somehow, with the outstretched trailing edge right-handed catch, Schreiwise able to pull that one in. He looks like he might be all right here. So Tom Annan will check in. And Madison looking to score and go up 4, and Wiseman just not himself tonight, throws it away. And the scuba is touched by the mark, however, it is complete. And very aggressive marks right now from Madison. Stefan Vance looking for a foul there. And looked like some contact off the backside from Annan. Gets away with it, throws out to the end zone, and Wiseman has a step. And he will pull it in for the goal, and Tom Annan fired up right now.
I hate to say it, but I think that D occurred, or drop by Dane Olson occurred only because Stefan Vance was busy calling for the foul from the ref. He was looking back at the ref, noticed for a split second that Dane was open, let off a throw that wasn't incredibly thoughtful, and then instead of hopping quickly on D, still looking at the ref.
We've seen a couple plays now where guys are lamenting their loss on the previous sequence of events and then give up a goal. Did look like some contact off the backside. I'm not sure. Couldn't get a good look at it there. The throw definitely was behind the receiver. sometimes the whistle won't blow and the throw's not particularly good. So centering pass to Bob Lou. And Chicago in some real trouble here. They're down 4, not able to score very consistently tonight. And they are on the road. Slover with the disc, centering pass to AJ. And lots of space in the middle of the field right now for Chicago. Nice mark by Mike Swain, taking away the backhand around, and a stall is called. Just enough time on the mark to force the 7-second stall. So Madison once again just bothering the offensive flow of Chicago. And the deep shot goes up. Swain with a step. And looked like he played the body a little bit too much. Walden off the backside closes out, and that will be a turnover. A lot of guys playing the body tonight. Don't see a lot of guys just sticking with the disc and going up and making a play. It's like the second half of Bo Kittredge's career all over the place. I said it.
It certainly worked for the Radicals early. I feel like a couple of drops on the part of the Wildfire were simply because the pressure was there from the Radicals. Sometimes that's not an unintelligent thing to do. If you don't think that you have position on your disc and the individual you're guarding does, playing the body gives you an opportunity to at least try and get the intimidation D.
It does, or you can draw the foul. A lot of times guys aren't looking, run you down, whistle blows. That's just as good as a catch. So the scuba over the top seems to be opening up the field, at least for Chicago. Let's see if they can capitalize on some of the space downfield. And just a careless turnover there from KK. And not sure what the call was. Timeout called by Tim DeBile and Madison. So 4-point lead. Madison looking pretty comfortable and looking to go up 5. We'll be right back at Breeze Stevens Field.
I missed my graduation, practice, asleep so we could drill. I missed anniversary, Father's Day, Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, Saturday. I missed the final exam. I missed the coin flight. I even missed my parents' anniversary. I missed the bus.
Welcome back to Madison, Wisconsin. You can see it's a hot summer night here in the state's capital. And the stands have really filled up here in Madison. Don't have an official count, but I'd say it's 10,000.
I was going to guess 11, Chuck.
You're always one better than me. Story of my life. Looks like it's threatening rain. I don't think it's in the forecast, but it's a thick night. And you know, that does affect the way the disc flies. You play in a place like Boulder at altitude where the air is really thin, and all of a sudden everybody has Ron Cablanza's forehand. Tonight, everybody has my forehand. It's not great. So Andrew Brown tapping it in. And always aware of his low flick there. Nice mark from Williams. Tom Anning gets it downfield to Schleicher. Schleicher having an outstanding game. And a throw under pressure and a heck of a D. That's Vaughn Alan-Gilon in the right place and a beautiful adjustment to get the D without fouling. So Williams will tap it in right on the pylon, centering to Goose Helton, and Chicago really needs to get something going. And there goes Goose Helton. And Stephen Mans throws a nice backhand around out to space. And Goose Helton just too fast. Will move it around, and whoa, a catch D off the backside. The old timer gets in the action, Nate Thibodeau. I don't think anybody saw that D coming. Nate Thibodeau dials it back, and Madison, just when you thought Chicago might gain some momentum here, gets an incredible D. Riggles looking for Wiseman one more time, and one more time overthrows him. Something just seems to be off in the mojo between Scott Riggles and Dave Wiseman.
For those curious as to exactly what age Chucktown thinks that old-timer is, Nate Thibodeau is 35. 35 years old constitutes as old-timer.
Don't ask me how old I am, by the way. Goose Helton with the disc, flat mark from Dave Wiseman. And Dan Olson with a nice flat hammer over the top. And Stefan one more time is going to rip it deep to Goose Helton. He is all alone, not sure what Wiseman's doing. I think he was checking his Twitter feed. And Goose Helton will clap catch it for the goal.
Now, as in shape as Goose is, I'm sure he could run that field 5 more times if he needed to, but I'm sure he's thankful that that's the last full field sprint he has to do to try and get the goal. With that point, I think another issue that's plaguing the Wildfire offense kind of showed itself is the lack of in-cuts. The lack of in-cuts that they're seeing. Someone gets the disc and then there's no one there. As we see Goose Helton catch that disc, the team wasn't following him. No one came there to catch, to get the disc, which is why he had to make that kind of awkward throw to Von Alan-Gilon that Nate Thibodeau so fabulously did.
Yeah, just great adjustment, great explosion. I thought Von had position, but Nate just exploded and got the layout.
Well, Nate is known for his full field layouts. Excuse me, full extension.
I would love to see that, by the way. Next year, we're talking about a rules change, slip and slide, starting at the 50-yard line all the way into the end zone. Commissioner Steve Gordon couldn't tell if he was serious, but he said he would consider it. Hashtag AUDL if you have other ideas. So Madison with the disc. And it looked like a push on the mark there. So Madison will tap it in here. And Andrew Meshnick open on Gary Ladone. And a nice little step-in backhand break. And another one. So Madison with a throw out to space. Casey Degnan on D, gets position and is able to go up and box out Pettit Scantling. Nice play from Casey Degnan. Scantling's been very good downfield, and Vandervoort will call a quick timeout for Chicago. Let's take a look at that D and see how Casey Degnan got in. Established position, forced Pettit Scantling to kind of go up a little earlier than he might have wanted. And gets the D here on a muggy night in Madison.
I missed my graduation to practice. I sleep so we could drill. I missed anniversary, Father's Day, Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, Saturday. I missed my final exam. I missed some plane flights. I missed my parents' anniversary. I missed a lot.
Welcome back to the Snoopy Bowl. We are live at Madison, where the crowd is getting loose, having a good time. Probably eating some homemade nut butter. I know one of the guys on Madison has a business making different nut butters. And Chicago's got the disc. They're down 3. If they score here, they're going into the fourth quarter down 2. Not a bad position to be, especially since we really haven't seen them at their best really at any point, I don't think. So Goose Helton starting to come on. A couple big strikes deep on this last point. And a zone D here from Madison. And Peter Graffi in the back certainly can intimidate some of those shots over the top, shots deep. Graffi's so athletic, so springy. That kind of shortens the field, makes these Chicago players look at these little in-between passes. That's kind of where Madison wants them to look. Hammer over the top from Bob Lou. It sits up a little bit, but comes up pretty much on target. Graffi closing on this against Geppert. And a big layout. Not sure if he got a piece, but in any event, certainly forced the issue and gets the turn. And I believe a travel is called on this flick as time expires. So the clock, I believe, ran out on Madison. A nice play at the end of the third quarter there, where Peter Graffi and Colin Geppert both go big in the back pylon. And 3-point lead, nothing doing for Chicago. We'll be right back.
Yeah, it's a zip car. I don't own it, I just use it when I need it. Zipcar has thousands of cars parked all over the city, even 2 on my block. You can use one for an hour or for a day. And Zipcar pays for gas and insurance. It's easy.
Go to Zipcar.com to get your Zip Card, the key to vehicles parked in your neighborhood and across the globe. For work or play, find a Zipcar near you, book it,
And before you know it, you're on the road.
cars by the hour or day, gas and insurance included.
Join for as little as $6 per month at Zipcar.com.
And welcome back here in Madison. An early Saturday evening game, started at 5. It's starting to be in that sweet little twilight part of the day, where if you're not in shape, maybe you won't feel it as much. We're going to take a look at some highlights from the third quarter. A lot going on. Chicago not quite able to dial it in, though. And here's Tom Annan putting it deep. Look at the help off the backside, but Goose not able to get there. Schrywise, very confident, very competent in the air. And Schleicher here with a nice adjustment. There again, Goose Helton with help off the backside. He's so good at coming in to help his teammates on these deep shots. Peter Graffi, one of the up-and-coming stars of the league, D's that. And here we see Swain and Goose. Certainly two of the most athletic players we have in the league, battling in the air. Always fun to watch those two. And probably the play of the game here, a trailing edge up line righty catch there. Not to be outdone, Von Alangilan gets the layout D. All right, I take it back. The play of the game was Nate Thibodeau with that layout D to stop what seemed like a momentum-changing goal for Chicago. And Casey Degnan, a converted tennis player, realized that he couldn't play pro tennis, but he might be able to play pro ultimate Frisbee. And certainly we're happy to have him out. I'm not sure what this is that we're looking at, but it looks fun. Looks family friendly. So Madison looking to maintain control. 12 minutes, a lot of time. And again, like we said, Madison has not beaten Chicago in Breeze Stevens Field ever. So even though they look confident, certainly this would be uncharted territory for them to close out. Meshnik with the pull. And the referee whistles the play dead. I believe this could be offsides. Offsides on Chicago, so I believe they're going to tap it in the end zone. So Bob Lou in the middle of the end zone. And Pettit Scantling did not see Slover, so an easy first pass for Chicago. Colin Geppert looking deep. And the over-the-top hammer from A.J. Nelson finds Ron Kablanza. Here's the trap double team. And in talking to a couple of the Wildfire players, they said they were talking all week about the quick movement against this zone. Not holding the disc, not letting the double team in the zone settle in. Starting to see that more clearly. And here's Bob Lou over the top once again. He's so precise with that hammer. And a nice continuation pass from Kevin Kelly to Slover in the end zone. Chicago looked pretty focused and poised on that point, and they punched it in easily.
All the same, Chuck, it took them to about midfield to get the in cuts with the appropriate timing. Before that, handlers were holding the disc for about 3 seconds before an in cut was coming in to relieve them. After that, we see a lot of lateral cuts going on, which just takes up a lot of energy and are a little more defendable.
Certainly not as dangerous as those vertical cuts, well timed. When watching Chicago play, it does seem like they're a team that tends to, if anything, just overthink things a little bit. Definitely have the athleticism and the skill to compete or beat anybody, but they get in their head for sure. Get in their own heads, I should say. So Goose Helton one more time bends in a backhand here. And Chicago down 2 with pretty good defensive pressure, forcing tough resets here. Nothing really open downfield so far. And Tom Annan gets the disc. And a big bid from Von Allen-Gielan, but caught by Schleicher. Looks like Von is shaken up.
Sure, we can take a look at that again. Schleicher landed on Allen-Gielan during that contact.
Yeah, just another incredible bid from Von. Look at this guy go. And unfortunately gets the full weight of Schleicher on the back of his head for his troubles. But he's been very impressive tonight. Upline cut is there, big layout, not there. Andrew Brown gets the disc. And looks like a foul on the mark. So Andrew Brown, 25 yards out of the end zone with the disc.
No reset, Chicago. No reset.
And nice D downfield from Goose Helton. And here we see Wiseman airing it out against Goose. And a nice adjustment by Riggles. Uses his height, keeps his eyes on the disc, and keeps possession of his library card. Reads the disc perfectly.
Notice he didn't even have to jump to catch that disc over Goose.
You know, we've seen Goose Helton a little late to the action, always in the area, but seems to have a hard time gathering himself and getting up into the air for whatever reason. In any event, Riggles makes short work of the former MVP. And the sun breaking through the clouds here in Madison. Great upside down stuff from Bob Lou. Hammers, scoobers. And Chicago, we can see the quick movement again, trying to never really let the disc settle. Colin Gephardt calling for the foul and gets it. So Matt Weber and Andrew Meshnick will set up behind the disc again. See how they're forcing the throw to go forward. And Kevin Kelly with a quick little high release to Ron Cablanza, who closes out nicely. Chicago back within 2.
Cablanza going intelligently to the disc in time. You saw Peter Graffi coming in pretty fiery from behind there.
So we see here's that double team. Near the end zone, they tend to force up field. And KK able to find his coach. Ron Cablanza opening the end zone. So, Megan, what do you think Chicago has to do to get back in this game and potentially win?
I think it's as simple as positioning their downfielders a little bit better. It seems like they're just generating looks too slowly to move the disc fast enough for the Radicals against the Radicals defense.
And Tom Annan thinks about the deep shot. Settles for the reset to Nate Thibodeau, who's not that old, apparently. And Schreiwise So effective downfield. Whistle blows and looks like a foul downfield. So 10 yards for Madison. A.J. Nelson on the mark. Relatively quiet tonight. And Thibodeau once again sends it to the end zone. Well played, however.
And there's another example of how playing the body instead of the disc might get you the D. Or maybe they both just misread that a little bit.
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes the defensive pressure forces you to go up a little sooner than you want it to. In any event. Chicago will take over. Andy Nielsen getting his first taste of the action tonight. And the deep shot goes up to Casey Degnan against Nate Volkman. And Degnan hauls it in, still a couple yards out of the end zone, however. And he's able to find a receiver, but he overthrows him. Slightly costly error there for Casey. So just a little bit too much on that disc. Madison resetting. Dave Wiseman's going to unleash a deep bomb to Pat Strywise. A.J. Nelson is in the area. And a full extension layout there from Strywise, not quite in the vicinity of the disc, however. Looks like he might have misread that slightly. Looks like he slowed down. So has a hard time locating it here. You can see once he gets back up to speed, it's a little bit too late. And the shot deep. Deed by Tom Annan. Not sure what he was looking at there.
Great D, but he positioned himself now at the top of the Chicago end zone.
Yeah, Tom Annan seemed to have a pretty good beat on that one. Andrew Brown gets the quick little dish to the middle of the field. And the Madison Radicals patiently are maintaining their lead with just over 6 minutes left in the game. And that gets away from Strywise. I think he was channeling Nate Volkman with that little air bounce backhand. Goose Helton picks the disc up, finds Mike Egan in the middle of the field. And Mike Egan gets fouled on the mark by Tom Annan. So 10-yard penalty, the disc comes back in. Chicago could certainly use a goal here. And instead they turn it over once again. And you can see Tom Annan looking deep, finds something he likes and lets it go. Schleicher will track that down easily. What a throw by Tom Annan. His receiver barely had to do anything except wake up.
A beautiful putt by Tom Annan, but just another exemplary cut from David Schleicher. So good at timing his cut, so good at heading to the position the thrower is most likely to position the disc.
And you can see the cut came all the way from the backhand side of the field. Generally, that's the space that's most dangerous to cut from when you have a forehand mark and deep space open. Can't quite see it from the angle we were looking at, but Dave Wiseman was cutting deep, cleared underneath, and that opened up the end zone for Schleicher. And Annan was looking the entire time for someone to be open deep. Found just that. So this pool will go out of bounds. And I'm not sure how many letters are in Radicals, but that seems like too many.
The first guy has go on his chest.
Go. Never been a strong speller. Not gonna lie.
He is standing a little too close to the other Radicals for it to make sense, though. I see your point.
Thanks for allowing me to save face. Saved my job. Bob Lou, quick reset to Chris Vandervoort. And Colin Gephardt with the dish. And Slover released deep. Pettit Scantling there, however. It's hard to justify throwing deep against Pettit Scantling. So aggressive on D. Nice around backhand there from Kevin Kelly against a physical mark of Mike Swain. Ron Cablanza underneath, gets it. And has some space to throw to. Slover with a step. Will reel that in against a big physical bid from Pettit Scantling. Nice throw there from Ron Cablanza. Perfect. Just what you would expect.
Yeah, and one of the few times we've seen a Wildfire player continue to read the disc, stay calm, as there's a very tight Radical defender on them. We see Slover remain unscathed by the fact that Pettit Scantling is close on his shoulder and lays out for that disc.
You can see Casey Degnan coming into the frame. He's fired up. Watch Ron Cablanza set this up. A little fake, little jab step, gets it underneath, and he's so explosive to the disc. If you're a younger player, remember that you always want to run all the way through the catch. And one guy who does that every time is Ron Cablanza. There's an iconic catch that he had against, I believe it was Jimmy Chu. When Ron was playing on Furious George, Jimmy Chu was playing for Seattle Sockeye. Jimmy had a full layout. One of the most incredible bids I've ever seen. And Ron Cablanza ran through, made a clap catch. I believe it went his way, but really doesn't matter. It's been turned into posters, T-shirts, all kinds of stuff. So offsides is the call. Andrew Brown will take the disc at the middle of the field. Costly penalty there for Chicago. And Thibodeau has got space to Wiseman. Help off the backside from Vandervoort. Little bit of a shoulder rub there. Wiseman gives him a look. Says, hey, buddy. What are you doing? But I guess no call. Here you can see Vandervoort just gives him a little nudge on the shoulder, maybe a little more than a little nudge. Not sure if Wiseman was in position to make the catch, though. Hard to tell from that angle. Wow, big bid for Nate Thibodeau. So 3 downfield cutters right now for Chicago, keeping 3 guys behind the disc just to keep the field open. And Vaughn working downfield against Schleicher. Kramer gets it underneath on Thibodeau. And Stefan Mance, one of the guys who really seems to be able to hit those backhand arounds to the end zone well. I'm very impressed with some of his deep looks tonight. With the disc, centers. And Chicago getting near the red zone here. Goose Helton with the disc. And a costly turnover for Chicago one more time in the red zone. Dane Olson trying to maybe do a little bit too much.
Spacing up until that point had looked much better for the Wildfire offense.
And Madison calls a timeout. They've got the disc. They're up to Chicago threatening, but nice foot block there from Tom Annan. We'll be right back.
Yeah, it's a zip car. I don't own it, I just use it when I need it. Zipcar has thousands of cars parked all over the city, even 2 on my block. You can use one for an hour or for a day. And Zipcar pays for gas and insurance. It's easy.
Go to zipcar.com to get your zip card, the key to vehicles parked in your neighborhood and across the globe. For work or play, find a zip car near you, book it,
And before you know it, you're on the road.
cars by the hour or day, gas and insurance included.
Join for as little as $6 per month at zipcar.com.
And we are back here in Madison. Chicago close to pulling within 1. However, a great kick save and a beauty from Tom Annan. So Madison will take over And they are running a 5-man horizontal stack, it looks like. One handler back to reset. Let's see what play they run here. Meshnick sets up, cuts deep against Goose. Peter Graffey gets open underneath against Collin. No throw. Stahl's getting high. Seemed like 7 seconds to me, but no call. Pettit Scantling with the disc. And trouble getting open downfield. Big pressure and a heck of a catch for Madison. Stephen Mance looked like, again, he was going to get the D, but did not. And great downfield D from Goose Helton against Andrew Meshnick. Just cannot get space. Pettit Scantling, however, can. And a risky reset to Drews, who throws and goes up line, gets it back. Got Pettit Scantling cutting downfield, well defended by Casey Degnan. I'm sorry, Ben Williams. And shot up line, perfect throw. And they call it the German. When you see the defender's back, know that he's not looking, just throw to space and it will work. For those that don't know, if you've ever played a German national team, you cannot face guard. That's all they do. It's a completely thrower-initiated offense. So let's see what we're talking about. With the disc, sees Dane Olson, number 13, looking away, knows he does not know when the disc is going to go up. And that gives you just the advantage you need to throw a perfect throw out to space. Megan, have you ever played a German team?
I have.
Do they do that, or did I just make that up?
I think that they did, but I didn't notice it at an alarming rate than other teams that I've played.
You probably just don't face guard. That's what that is.
That is true. I do not face guard at all.
The rest of us are often tired, generally not well oriented. And Madison offside. So 3 offsides calls, and these are very costly penalties. You can see Chicago's going to walk it all the way up, I believe, to the middle of the field. And Bob Lou will tap it in against the Twin Towers. A.J. Nelson being fronted. Whatever they're doing against A.J. Nelson, it's working. He has been a non-factor downfield, almost as ineffective as Brody Smith. And a physical mark up the middle to Walden. Chicago could really use a score here. They are trailing 3. If they don't get on the board soon, this could be all but over. And Bob Lou looking for the end zone. Colin Gepper with a nice dish to Walden Nelson. And Chicago back within 2, a minute and a half to go. Is it too little, too late?
If we were to look at the time it takes Chicago to score throughout this game, I would say yes, that at this point Madison has the game in the bag. If they can come out with a few long shots, they certainly would give themselves time. They have been playing defense fairly well against the Madison Radicals, but it's certainly not a given that they're going to be able to go out and get the D. We've seen some great flow from the Radical offense. They're just so chilly, so rehearsed, that it's going to take a huge effort followed by a very quick score for this game to go anyway but the way of the Radicals.
So trailing by 2, Chicago winds and delivers. Remember, last night Chicago just reset the disc for the last minute and a half and held on to a 1-point victory. Let's see if Madison does something similar here. Up 2, really, they don't even have to score. They just have to keep control of the disc. Quick reset from Andrew Brown, give and go right back. And a tough throw up the middle is handled by Nate Volkman. Minute 10 left. So Chicago needs to force a turnover. And so far the resets have been there. Andrew Brown coming all the way back to the disc, open on Casey Degnan. And Andrew Brown thinks about the deep shot, but again, all they need to do is hang on to the disc. for the win. Schleicher opened underneath. And Scott Riggles torches Vaughn on the undercut. Try-wise with the disc. Madison doing what they need to do. Just under 40 seconds left. And Andrew Brown stab catches that. And the shot to the end zone. That's gonna probably do it. Madison goes up 3 with under 30 seconds to go. So nice job by Madison to not get flustered, to take the resets. A couple of those were difficult resets, over the mark, around the mark. They made it happen.
If the name of the game was to just run out the clock, David Schleicher made himself too tempting of a target for that to happen. Why not, right?
I mean, he is open. So
Very open.
Schleicher bouncing back nicely. He said he was unhappy with last night. Heard him in the interview at halftime, and he's been back to his old ways, just getting in the end zone constantly. So the crowd here in Madison kicking off their Saturday night of Memorial Day weekend with a win. Chicago going to have probably one more look at the end zone here. Ron Cablanza throws a outside in backhand, and Graffy in the middle of 3 Wildfire receivers is the only one on the disc. So Madison does exactly what Chicago did last night and holds and gets their first win at home against this opponent. And A.J. Nelson, Colin Geppert will wrap up. Andrew Meshnick, who just had an outstanding 2-game series here this weekend against Chicago. Great on the mark. Some nice shots downfield. You can see here Graffy playing center field, and unfortunately the throw went to center field. Chicago just really didn't have their best stuff on offense tonight, but you know what? They generally don't have their best stuff against Madison. Hard to not credit this Madison defense for taking them out of their element. And if nothing else, taking what they give him on offense, getting the resets, Tom Annan hitting the end zone, Andrew Brown breaking the mark, Dave Wiseman getting into the mix tonight, and Schleicher having a breakout game, getting back to his old ways of just domination and great downfield vertical cuts. I think if you characterize the difference between these two teams and the way they were cutting, the timing was quite a bit better for Madison on their downfield cuts. And also the shapes of the cuts were a lot more vertical. They were setting up their unders with really hard deep cuts. Chicago generally tending to exploit poaches with lateral cuts across the field. And guys like A.J. Nelson, who are so athletic, are resorting to just getting free resets. You see Madison celebrating with their fan base here. Bears mentioning that handing out programs tonight was Georgia Bosher. I would say probably the best ultimate player in the entire stadium tonight. Georgia Bosher, an outstanding female player, played on Fury, won a gold medal for the U.S. A successful club player, and her brother Nate Bosher playing for the San Jose Spiders in the Western Division. And you can see the weather cooperated tonight for the second half of our doubleheader here in Madison. And Megan Tormey is down on the field with Andrew Brown, leader, captain, icon, and older brother of Kevin Brown. Kevin Brown celebrating a great season with the University of Wisconsin and Milwaukee Black Cat Ultimate. And in just a moment, we will send it down to hear some final thoughts from Andrew Brown. Really one of those outstanding players, one of the guys, one of the class acts of the sport, played on Furious George, has played in Japan on World's teams. And we will hear what he has to say with Megan.
Thanks, Chuck. Andrew, coming back from a tough loss last night, how much of yesterday's disappointment carried over to fuel you for today?
Having lost yesterday's game, that was tough, and we used that loss to propel us to win this game. I mean, having won yesterday, the Wildfire took the lead by a half game in the conference, and this puts us then back in the lead by a half game. So it's big. It puts us in the driver's seat for the remainder of the season. If we're able to win out, we will take the conference, and we hope to do just that.
Yeah, it puts you in a great position. Now, coming out from half, you guys had the advantage. You really had the advantage all game. But what did you decide to work on during the second half to make sure that the game continued to go your way?
I mean, we didn't really change our strategy too much at halftime. I think things were working for us. I mean, I think we were up maybe 3 at halftime, so we stuck with what was working for us. I think we played a little bit more man defense in the second half, whereas in the first half we were playing more zone. But like I said, we didn't really change a whole lot. Our strategy was working, so we stuck with it.
Good. And lastly, you guys have such a fantastic fan base here in Madison. How much do they help you in these home games?
It's incredible. I mean, playing away yesterday and having the Wildfire crowd there cheering for them, doesn't exactly pump us up, but coming home and being able to play in front of the awesome crowd that we have here in Madison is a tremendous advantage. I think we have perhaps one of the best home field advantages in the whole of the AUDL. So it's great. It's great to play in front of them and get a win for them as well.
Well, congratulations on that win. Thank you for talking to me, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, Chuck, back to you.
So an outstanding finish here in Madison. The Radicals recoup their losses from last night and take a decisive win here at Breese-Stevens Field in the capital of Wisconsin. So they split the weekend series, and Chicago, I believe, maintains a half a game lead in the Midwest Division. Next week, don't forget to tune in for Vancouver Riptide as they travel down to meet the San Jose Spiders in a Western Division showdown. So far, San Jose has had their way with everybody except for San Francisco. We'll see how that plays out as Vancouver makes their ESPN3 debut. For Megan Tormey and the whole Fulcrum Media staff, I'm Chuck Kindred, and we're going to take a look at some highlights from the game tonight.